Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a tutorial on placemats, some holiday placemats, and kind of calling my series copycat tutorials. But on this one I really can't call it a copycat because there are so many tutorials on YouTube and they all do it basically the same way. So I'm just going to show you my method of doing it and take you along for the ride, and we're going to make some placemats. As a bonus, I made me some hot pads or pot holders or whatever you call them. These ones I'll hang, these ones I'll use, I'm sure. So, because I make corned beef and cabbage. But so as a bonus, I'm making matching pot holders. So let's get started with the placemat. I'm going to move. Okay, the first thing we're going to want to do is cut out our fabric. And the main fabric, which will be the pretty part, I'm going to cut this out at 13 by 17. 13 by 17. And then the back part of the placemat, I cut out 17 by 21. Now I also cut out some fusible fleece, and I fused that to my main panel. And then after that, I go and I mark 2 inches on all sides, 2 inches. So after I mark out the 2 inches on all 4 sides, this one I did lines going both ways. First I started straight and then I went diagonal. And then I went and sewed that down on my back fabric, because when I wash these, I do not want this to come apart. Now on my St. Patrick's one, I just did a squirrely line. I think they call that I don't know what they call it, but I just did swirly lines on this one, and I did it in green, so you really can't see it. Okay, then after we get this quilted down, and we measured it and centered it all around to have 2 inches on all sides. Now I need to cut my corners at a 45-degree angle in order to get them sewed. So I have a ruler with the 45, and I line that up to the side. There's a line right here, and I line it up. And I move it until I am a 1/4 of an inch away from my corner. So slide it down until I'm a 1/4 of an inch. And I want this 45-degree line to line up with the edge of my fabric. And that is a 1/4 of an inch. So I chop it off. I do that on all 4 corners. Find my 45. Make sure I'm a 1/4 of an inch away and chop it off. And you just slide it down the edge of your fabric here. I've got my iron heating up. And here we go, last one. All right, so my 1/4 of an inch is touching the corner of my, and slide it, make sure it's even, get it over there. There we go. All right, let's go over to the iron for the next step. Okay, the next step is to take your fabric and fold it in up to the edge of your placemat and give it a good press. And do that on all 4 sides. Alright, and then we go to the sewing machine. But before I sew my 45-degree corners, I have to finish up the top stitching on this, because I saved that so you could see me sew the lines. So let me get you over by the sewing machine and we will finish this up. I'm going to finish sewing my diagonal lines here. And I put red in the bobbin and white on top. I'm using my walking foot to assemble my placemats. So let's get to sewing. I am not going to lock the stitch, go backward and forward, because this is going to be covered up by the binding anyway, so. The walking foot just runs it through so nicely. This step really goes fast. And you could put any design on here you want. It doesn't have to be lines. You could, if you're good at free motion quilting, you could put some pretty designs on here. I just want this to move once I put it in the wash machine for the year. All kinds of little threads. Makes it so easy to have the lines there. But if you have that, and this sewing machine doesn't have it, an arm that sticks out and you can put it an inch every, and it'll go sew an inch away from each seam. This sewing machine doesn't have it for some reason. Okay, so now we've got our seams where we've folded them and ironed them. What I'm going to do now is turn it to the back side, and I'm going to fold those seams together. You can pin it if you like, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to match the corners up together. See how I got that? And I'm going to give it a good little press. I'm going to hang on to that. I'm going to get it under my machine, and then I'm going to sew the straight edge 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go in just a little ways so my machine doesn't eat my fabric, and then I'll back stitch. You want to catch that cuff. You want to catch the tip of your folded edge, just the tip of it. And then you do that to all 4 edges. Take your snips, don't cut the stitch line, but you want to just snip that open. So that way you can take that seam and open it up. Put your thumb there and turn it inside out. Now I got to go cut all my whiskers off because, and you know, you can wait until you're done with this before you sew everything down. But I didn't want to sew my my binding down. So I got to go cut all the little whiskers off, which is no problem. So I'm going to do that to all 4 edges. So I fold it onto itself, the back onto itself. I get that corner. I make them binding meet up right there. There's the corner of my placemat. If you want to pin it, you can pin it. But I just line it up like that, lay it on my machine, and get it underneath there. Oh, I got so much static I can't get the threads off of me. I start in a little ways, give it a couple stitches, then I back stitch to anchor my threads. Stay on a quarter of it, quarter stitch, catch this folded binding just a little bit, lock the stitches, and cut. Snip. Snip it so it'll open up, and do that to all 4 edges. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll cut all my threads off when I'm done with this. But those little whiskers drive me nuts. Now my sister, I'm going to make her, because I didn't get her nothing for her birthday or for Christmas, and she was so generous to give me $100 to spend. So, you know, we don't need nothing at our age, so I like to make her things. So I am making her a set of each of these as well. Then my other sister decided she needed some curtains, so I am making, well, she ordered curtains. Her kitchen curtains, she wants to be ladybugs. So she ordered some drapes or something, and I'm just going to cut them up and make 4 sets of curtains out of them. So let's make sure I got everything trimmed. I don't know if I trimmed that one. Nope. Okay, this is what it should look like. Let's go back over to the ironing board. Okay, this is what it should look like. Open your seam up, put your thumb there, and give it a turn. Open that seam up and give it a turn. So now your binding is locked down. Let me get some scissors and some pokey tool here. And you want to get your corners as pointy as you can without poking a hole in your fabric. I got this from Missouri Star Quilt. I think it was $1.95. I got a couple, and I really should have got one for every station. All right, now I'm just going to press these down, and then I'm going to top stitch it 1/8 of an inch away from the sides. Now you can pin it if you want. You can use a steam seam to put under there. But I just find a nice press and it stays pretty good for me. So now I'm going to go over my sewing machine and do 1/8 of an inch all the way around to hold that down. I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch all the way around to close up my binding. I'm going to use a walking foot, and I'm going to lock my stitches for the beginning and the end. I'm moving my needle over just a tad bit. My stitch is 2.5, my width is 3.5. Now I'll go give it a press, remove all my friction markers, and we're done. Just to trim all the little fuzzy hairs off of it. But you can make 6 of these in a day. I mean, you can whip through them, just chain piece them together. Well, there you have it. You have nice placemats, and you can have them for every holiday. They're so easy to do. You can get 6 of them made in a day. You do not have to quilt it. You could just put an X from corner to corner to help it stay down. You do want to use fusible fleece, or you can use batting, but you would really have to sew it down for sure then. But let me do a quick recap. The main fabric was 13 by 17. The back fabric is 17 by 21. Yep, 17 by 21. The batting is also the 13 by 17. You mark all 4 sides. You make a mark all the way around the main fabric. The wrong side of the back fabric, you want to make a mark 2 inches away from the edge all the way around. Then you want to place this in your 2-inch mark, and then either put an X, sew an X around it, do your quilting, do whatever you want on it. And then after that, then you go and cut your corners at a 45-degree angle. You press your seams inward towards your main fabric. Then you go back and sew your corners together, cut them off, open them up, and flip it, and do a top stitch. And this is what you come out with. So I hope you enjoyed my placemat tutorial. If you have any questions, if I wasn't thorough enough, just leave them in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. So has anyone told you you're special today? If not, let me be the first, because you are in God's eyes. So go do something creative, but whatever you do, do it in the name of the Lord, and your blessings will always come back to you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you next week. God bless. Bye.